All right, we're in the home stretch. And why did I take so long on this one, and why have I done it in three parts? Because I really think you got to understand the richness of the inner sea. And I think so many look at it and go, okay, fine, I'm going to do my own homebrew and forget this. I really don't want to do this. Oh, do I have to do this? Why'd they include this? Look, they included a little bit of everything for everyone. And it's one of the things I love. And they all cohesively fit together and make sense. Their history is not one that is inconsistent like some worlds, that makes no sense and was cobbled together just because somebody did this part, somebody did this part, somebody did this part. No, they really took their time. Malthun, the Warring Empire. And it is actually a lawful neutral empire, but they're a canorate. And basically they are a bunch of squabbling nobles that are vying to rule the canorate and lead the armies of Malthun into Nermathis, the rebel nation of rebels and elves and half-elves, and let's put them down and make them part of our great nation again. And so that's kind of their history when it comes to that. Braganza is a big city of theirs, as is Aramus and Corholm. And so all those areas are major parts. It's a military oligarchy government. And in that, there's a lot of different governors that rule. But this is the imperial governor that serves under the Chelish Empire. And that's Imperial Governor Markwin Teldus. And as you can see, the nation's an interesting nation of forests and mountains and desert. So they're at constant war with Nermathis, and they're constantly pouring their citizens into it. And it is a warring nation that will always be there. And it's kind of cool to run a lawful neutral kind of crusading campaign one. If you want to use the ultimate campaign, this is an area that would be great to use it in. And they do serve House Thrun. Now, they're not evil, they're not devil worshippers, but they're beholden to as a satellite nation, and they're proud of it because they have the support of the Thrun armies if they need them. And so this nation is an interesting nation along with Nermathis, the rebel nation, and it just two different types of things. It's like, think of it like the English against the Americans, and that's kind of how it is. Nermathians are kind of the sniper hit and run people. The Malthunians are the proper marching British army who marches out onto a battlefield and goes to battle. And that's kind of how it goes. The Mwangi Expanse, good Lord, I could spend hours and days on this. One of my second favorite places on the Inner Sea, outside of Osirian and Katapesh. Why is it so cool? Because it's not just a backwards jungle nation of Tarzan. It literally is a learned nation. A lot of the Shori people came out of this area, along with Lurgani and what is the Sodden lands. These are a wizened people. Yes, they are tribal, but they're not stupid. The Akuje elves are down here. It's where the second elven gate is, along with two other elven tribes and the dwarves. There's a cannibalistic race of halflings, as well as some cannibalistic gnomes. This is a neat area. The Aspis Consortium wants to rule it. The Last Wall Taldorans want to rule it for the Taldoran Empire. This is a heavily contested area. And also the pirates want it for the trade. So it has a lot of jungle area with lost cities, lost knowledge, dark gods, idols, spirits, and other tribal things. There are different nations of polyglots, and so I could spend the whole time. The Heart of the Jungle is a great guide to get with this area. It really goes through and does justice to the Mwangi Expanse, as you can see. And there's not just the Mwangi Expanse, there's Sargava, the lost nation of Taldorans that's below it. Or should I say Chelish, not Taldorans, so the Chelish. Actually, kind of a weird history. They're kind of Taldoran, they're kind of Chelish, because the Chelish are Taldorans originally. Ruthasek, the Gorilla King, rules here. He has the firearm canon of the Last Crusade, and he serves the demon ape god. So keep in mind, there's a lot of stuff. In Mazzali, there's a big rebellion against the colonials. And the child, the undying child god is there, Walkena. He's the boy prince, and he is a mummy. And he's a living mummy that rules the area and the tribes, and they really do respect him. There's Osibo, the golden city where the great mage Jitembe supposedly was, with all of his knowledge, and the elder tree of the world. There's the ruins of Ko, a floating city that crashed down into the jungle and left shards of glass everywhere to pick through. And then there's the screaming jungle where everything wants to kill you. So keep these things in mind. Great area, especially with the serpent's skull and trying to restore the serpent empires. There's a lot of old serpent empire influence in this area. There's cyclopean influence in this area. There's a lot of everything in this area. And so I really love the Mwangi Expanse just because of what it does. There is Nex and the Ark Lords. And the Ark Lords defend the nation against the undead. And so the Ark Lords of Nex have a third eye that they can open, and they really try to come up with major things and major inventions. As you can see, the brown around the rivers, they have poisoned a lot of their drinking water area with the alchemy that goes on in their cities. They have the Quantium golems that are just massively destructive golems of adamantium that you cannot destroy easily. The major city of Quantium sits on the river and basically has polluted everything. It kind of sees a lot of the pollution even though it's well down the way. Anapian is an area where they still have a little bit of crops as there is with Kulo, but they have poisoned much by their magic. So they're a very learned magic nation, but they've paid the price for it. And often they're having to buy crops from their enemy, Geb. Nidal. Oh, yes, yes, yes. If you want a Hellraiser nation, there it is right there. There is your Hellraiser Cenobite / Chitin nation. And Chitins are very common, as is Zan Kuthan in this area. The capital of Pangolius is the nation capital. And these are a Kelid people who have raised up to be dark and shadowy. And they're the Shadow Empire. These are people that they use on their monks called the Silent Enforcers that go out and enforce Zan Kuthan's rule in this dark nation. And it is a dark nation. I can't wait till them to put an adventure path in it. There's just so much you could go through with this nation. It is the Dark Gods. It is, remember Conan where they had the Set worshippers? Oh yeah, that on steroids. Nurmathus, the land of freedom and fighting for freedom. They are the rebel nation, with the capital being in Tamran. The forest marshals protect the nation, as do the Chernasardo Rangers. Boy, am I going to mutilate that? But that's a half-elf Chernasardo Ranger. And as you can see, it is a very forested nation. There's a reason why Malthun wants it back. And it sits on Lake Incarthium, just north of Malthun. And there's some hidden mage places there that have some powerful magic. Numeria, land of the fallen spaceships and fallen stars. Now, here is a nation that has technology and does not know what they're doing. They formed the Technique League. It was actually formed by a former, supposedly alien that came to this world that wanted to guide people to recover the parts of the spaceship so she could return and maybe do space flight. But the Technic League is a bunch of selfish little mages and other people that have banded together. There's some good in it, but it is a very opportunistic group, and they're very much keep things within the Technic League. And so places like Starfall, places like Scrapwall, Chesed, and Torch are all centered around the Technic League. They're one of the few places that can easily smelt adamantine because they still have rocket engines from the spaceships that are still burning by the fuel that guided them. So you can take this sky metal into it, and it is hot enough to smelt the adamantine into whatever weapon you'd like, or whatever armor you like, or whatever power armor you like, or whatever technical device you like. So keep that in mind. Now, number one, the number one rule of the Technic League: do not remove technology from Numeria. You're allowed to possess minor technology in Numeria, but if you leave and take it with you, we will hunt you down. And that is a cool thing about these guys. They are all fanatical. And the Iron God's tremendous path. I first ridiculed it, and I am so sorry, Paizo. I thought, what are you doing to fantasy? I am so sorry, James Jacobs and crew. I really effed up. And I love the adventure path, and I love what it brings, and I love the premise behind it, and I really, 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 really wasn't behind it, as some of you will see in my posts up on the Paizo site under my Dorian Greywalker. Sorry, guys, screwed up. I admit it, and I bow before your greatness in doing such a great nation and so much fun. And that's also where your AIs, your androids, come out of. And that's where the goddess Bree comes from, who is a technical humanoid or sentient machine goddess, which I love. Kind of a cool, inventive goddess. Where I'm going to take my party next. Osirian. You can see the shell of one of Rovagug's children. That is the big palestial area. The Ruby Prince Kemet III has risen Osirian out of the ashes. Actually, Kemet II and first really brought it out. But the third has really tried to bring back the learnedness of his nation and the greatness. He is all about finding the artifacts. And certain artifacts can stay. Certain artifacts can go with the Pathfinders for a good fee. And certain other artifacts can go out with the Aspis Consortium. It is a truly desert nation. There are only hints of things around the rivers. It is the Egypt of this. There are some places with papyrus and crops, but not many. The Risen Guard. Those are the ones that supposedly survived death and came back to serve Kemet. And they do. They protect as the army of the Pharaoh that is out in that area. Now, mind you, Osirian was for a while part of the Khadiran Empire as a part of Kazmaron and the Kalamshite Empire out there. However, they broke free under the Kemets and went back to their former greatness. Khadira, nation of nomads that were conquered by the Kazmarons. It is now a very Saren Ray-esque nation. It is the morning flower basically rules there and is the major goddess, along with Nethys, some elemental lords, Pharasma, Rovagug, and Irori. It is very much a desert Persian-style nation with jinn. They enslave a lot of jinn and Ifrit and other types of beings. And there's a whole thing again, and I'd get it before it goes away, on Khadira. Really nicely done. And it talks about the fact that both, well, actually the desert kingdoms, from the Jitska Empire on over into what is now Osirian, to Katapesh, to Khadira, all had a lot of genie kin and elemental influence. So these, you'll run into them pretty easy. Rahadum, the nation of non-theists. They are tired of gods, and they came up with the laws of men. Because at the time, several of the gods came into this area and caused lots of death. It was Saren Ray, Norgorber, and several others, and it was bloody. And they have never forgiven it and what it did to their nation. So now, the Sword of Men, which are the enforcers, will forcibly imprison or remove anyone worshiping a god or goddess in the borders of Rahadum. You'll either serve as a slave, you'll be kicked out, you'll be put to the sword, you'll be branded a heretic. It is not a nation that tolerates worship. Now, it is done secretly. Don't get me wrong. There are places that are strongholds for it. But in the capital of Azir, that's the hold of the Sword of Men. Now, in Maniket and some other areas, it gets done. And there is the last temple that is up in the Napusine Mountains. But believe me, this is not a place. Now, Haldun was part of the Lurgeni Empire, and they also somewhat allow worship of gods, but you have to do it quietly. Ramzaran. Oh, yes. The hold of the god Ramzir, which is a human who raised himself through magic to look like a god. And it is a nasty little occult cult that will get rid of you. And the priests of Ramzir suck people in, and they lead them into the city in this empire that sits on Lake Ancarthian across the way from Ustalav. And in Throne Step, you sit at the thrones, the different steps to go up to the throne to earn your place among the priests of Ramzir. But know, if you try to oppose them or bring other religion, they will eradicate you. It is a dark, deceitful, decadent place. The River Kingdoms. Many different little city-state kingdoms. This is where Kingmaker comes out of. Because there was a part that was annexed away from Brevoy by these kingdoms that went vacant for a king, and they're looking to raise one up. And Daggermark and Pitax, Lambrith, Gralton, Mevon, there are so many different river kingdoms, and there's a whole book on them that I suggest you get again, called The River Kingdoms. And as you can see, they are a divided, red-lined little lot of Galtians and other people who have come, because again, out of Galt, many of the royalty fled up into this side and tried to make out their own little kingdoms. And that's what this is. There's a lot of piracy. There's a lot of, there are some that are gladiatorial. It is a nation to nation is very different. And you can go from chaotic neutral to neutral evil very quick. And yet there's a lot of intrigue there and a lot of things you can learn and grow from. Even the Greenway Druids have sway and have their own little kingdom in there. So, very fun place. Sargava, another place that I love that's part of the Serpent Skull and has its own little adventure now. Yay! Which I bought. And I will show it to you. I'm so proud of this little thing. And so keep in mind, proud of it. Yay! Ire of the Storm. It's the first one that they did just out of Sargava, and I love it. Sargava is a lost colony of the Chelish. And as you can see by their flag, it was a former Erodin. It was during the time of Erodin, the living god, that they went down there and took and settled that area. They have a lot of mixed feelings from the different tribes. Some of the tribes love them and try to emulate them. Others want to kill them. And they're the Banawats, who are the slavers, work with them sometimes, sometimes not. And there are some other ones among the Mazali who love them. And then there are some among the, what's the other tribe? I should know all these, but the Empire of Sargava will go through all those. Kalabuto is Mazali who hate the Chels. Port Freedom, the smuggler ship, and there's also Kaldoru that is off on the island up near the Mwangi, not far from here. But Port Freedom is a pirate port. Eliter is the capital, and it's an interesting nation. The Shackles, my fun piratey empire with Port Peril and the many different ports. And as you will see, and this does not do it justice, so I suggest you get the Shackle Isles to go through it. There are so many different things. There are everything from a cannibal queen worshipping group of cannibals to Slip Cove, where there are former freed halfling slaves that are pirates, to Hell's Harbor, to Drenchport with a druid who basically is part of the Free Captain Council. And Kirdak Bonefist might rule there, depending if you've run the Shackle Isles or the Skulls and Shackle campaign. There is even rumor that there is a dragon lich that is there, as well as a lich queen in her own empire, and a red dragon who supposedly is pretty dangerous. Again, all rumors, hearsay, but fun little tips that'll draw your players. And there are so many islands that, gee, they could make and capture and get their own island and put their own little fort on it and their own little port. So a whole pirate campaign waiting for you. And you can even put Freeport in there if you want. Great place to drop it in place of Port Peril or use it along with Port Peril. Some fun there. The Sodden Lands, what was Lyrgani and several other empires. The Lurgans were well known for their sky worship and their portents. But there are many different things there. There are 3 remaining settlements of Harantium, Jula, and Kokotang. There are Boggards, Kabuto, Lizard Folk, and the Knights of Abendigo that all are there, which are former Girundi, and also Shori Empire. So keep in mind, these kingdoms used to be here, and they have a lot of history on these areas. The Knights of Ozum tried to put a monastic order. Okay, go. A monastic order in there, but they're not going to get too far. It was left. And so what waits there for the people? And then the sunken cities that are off the coast. Take a look at this. This sits right off the eye of Abendigo. So it is constantly flooding. These were learned empires that were very, very strong empires that went by the wayside because of the fall. And they do some great history on how all this came about and how all this fell. But this was once Yamas and Lurgan, the 2 nations. The Steaming Sea and the Mordant Spire. The Mordant Spire elves that protect their different things, and Promise, the gold dragon, the Isle of Promise, that also allows people into this paradise, but at what cost, and what must you do to be there with the gold dragon? Taldor, the former great empire of the Islanti, under a very weak king of Prince Stavian III. And as you can see, still a very prominent area with Opara and the different lumber areas like the Verdun Forest. And so there's a lot of influence of the gnomes there to keep the forest and work with the druids to keep from cutting it down too much, and that way they lose the forest. But there's a wild fey aspect to it as well. So many different cities, so many different thoughts from there. Just keep in mind, Taldor is a rich little decadent thing, and they've got several different modules that are out of Taldor. Thuvia. It's a kind of an interesting place of dance and dervishes and different tribals, where supposedly you can find the flower of eternal youth if you're to find the sun orchid and get sun orchid elixir. And supposedly there is one man who produces it and sells 3 to 4 bottles per year at a price. Will you pay the price to live longer? There's so much richness here. There are not just the citadel of the alchemist, but there is also Duror, Aspenthar, Pashau, Lamacera, where the dancers are, the dancing bards. There is so much tribal fun and richness in this area. This is former Tikrichian Empire that the Osirians took over. And these tribal people are a proud people, a learned people, and a very advanced people. Many Taldorans have settled in these areas. And yes, there is even Fae in this area to have to deal with. Imagine that. And then there's also Ahriman, the fallen div that was once a power that was called into being by the pharaohs. So keep that in mind. The House of Oblivion also resides there. So all kind of fun places. And then Ustalav, where we have the Ustalavis. And as you can see, their flag is the tower and stars in the dark sky. This is the realm of Desna. This is the Varishans who have come out and become a dark people. As you can see, I love it. The alignment of this area is neutral evil because of the Anasphyxian order and many other dark veil gods who reside here. Caliphas is the new kingdom capital. But formerly there was another that was this thing. Keep in mind there is Karsau and Lepestad, Ilmarsh, Kortad, Korveskire, Chastel, Chateau de Lourdes, Castle Ordonto, Carrion Hill. What strange things happen in Carrion Hill. Tamrivena of the free kingdoms areas where they have democracy. So you have Common, Skald, and Varishan, all the languages as this area, with Desna, Pharasma, and Urgothoa all holding a Rome. The history is very sordid. The Savoida family basically settled it, and there are many provinces. There are the Amans and Ardil, where the former capital was under the Savoys, Barstoi, Caliphas, the Furrows, Ordonto, Cineria, Olkazar, Varno, and the Versex. Never, never, never doubt the power of darkness that could come from here, or the good. And village, where the spire is, the dreaded gallows fire that holds Ter Befon and his evil army. And the great authoress, Alison Kindler, who killed both vampire and werewolf. The Shutterwood, where the wolf tribes thrive and run free. And the Askaner Lodge, where the nobles hunt these things. So, keep in mind, this is a fun realm, as you can tell. You have the Palatinates, which are Canterwall, Lozerai, and Viland, where Lepestad and the Askaner Lodge and many others like Tamrivena are. And the former prison that is near Tamrivena, where the worst of the worst murderers are kept. This is a nation I love. It is a dark, gothic, vampire, and human-run and undead nation with werewolves and lost temples of Desna and the Varishans that track around this area along with the civilized people. There are many, many, many different counts and countesses vying for power and dark secrets as well as good. Who will you be, and where will you be? And will you be able to survive the Carrion Crown and its many secrets? You can tell I love this one, and I played it. And I did, and I love Wes. Please, big thumbs up to you and the crew and everybody that worked on the Carrion Crown. I love it. And the Rule of Fear. Guys, honest to God, please redo this one. Please bring this back along with the other ones in Varisha and do this one again with the added classes like the Investigator and some of these others. Because I'm telling you, and the Occult Adventures, you know where this will go if you can revise and update this. Because this was slightly before they had these things. And let me tell you, people, you want a dark realm where you can adventure forever? That's this one right here. And they're good people, but scared people. So, very fun. And we cannot forget Varisha. Varisha. And its many, many, many cities like Corvosa and Let's see, who else? Janderhof of the dwarfs. And also Kermega, the city of many faces and many gods. Magnamar, the city of monuments. And so many more, like Ritoport and its darkness. And Sand Point, Rise of the Ruin Lord's headquarters. Gave you enough props, didn't I? There's a ton, from Curse of the Crimson Throne to Second Darkness to Rise of the Ruin Lords to the Shattered Star. They have done so much in Varisha. It is a land of legends and monsters, like they said, and I love it for its richness and the different things. The Chelish came to conquer it, but the Varishan spirit and the Shonti did not allow that to totally happen. And yes, there are places like Korvosa where the Chels do reign supreme. But then there's other cities where that's not so much the case. And you gotta love it. And Queen Elosia Arabiste, the Dark Queen of Korvosa. So keep that in mind. The World Wound. We're almost there, guys. Land of Demons with former Secorus, which is now laid to waste, and Storasta, and Udarum, and Deskari, the evil demon lord that tries to rule this realm with an iron fist. And then there's beyond the Inner Sea, folks. There is basically the Jade Empire, which the Jade Throne is on, with Tien Xia. Remember to get that. And then the maps that show the other parts of the world, which are Arcadia. They are the crown of the world. They are the As Fallen Aslanti area. It's Kazmaron, Tien Xia, and Sarosant. So there are so many other places, and even the solar system they give you. They give you the solar system, which is also in distant worlds, so you can get that. They give you the beforehands, the religions. So they take you through the various religions and richness of this area. And I love the gods and goddesses, the demon lords, the philosophies. So the many philosophies that are present in this area. So you can see the different ones that are there. So there are several philosophies. There is the philosophy of diabolism, the green face, the prophets of Carolistrate, and the whispering way. And then there's the great beyond they talk about and all the things that are there. They give you the days of the month and the sacred days for the different gods and goddesses, the modern human languages. They give you the factions. So the Aspis Consortium, my favorite faction outside the Pathfinders. Keep that in mind. This is a really fun. All right, sorry about that. Mini GM had to do a quick change on her. Now, life, they give you a little bit of information on the life. They give you some things on the major groups like the Eagle Knights. So on these factions, they give you the Aspis Consortium, the Eagle Knights, of course, and those are Andoran. The Hell Knights. And the great part about this is getting expanded. This is just the original book. Since then, Pathfinder Society and many others have already expanded this. So keep this in mind. The Red Mantis, those came up in the Intrigue, the Inner Sea Intrigue. And then they go into adventuring a little bit and places on the world. And they also have some great, I love some of their prestige classes. The Harrower, love it. I think it's a fun one. The Hell Knight's already in there, as is the Low Templar, which is the knight out of Taldor. The Red Mantis Assassins. So they've already got several of these classes, prestige classes in there. And then they have the Paths of Prestige, which cover a few, so keep that in mind on the book. They have the Path of Prestige. Also got the Inner Scene campaign material. Now, that said, why do I bring up all this? Because for a campaign system, they have done a lot to expand. I understand. Each of us is limited with money, and Tortured Earth did a great job of explaining this, that, hey, I don't have $600 to spend on all these things. Understood. Some of you don't have the money to spend on it. Those that do, or those that can, and that can add to it little by little, this world offers you so much that you can just easily modify, that you don't have to recreate a wheel, that you don't have to do, reams upon reams for realms. And unless you plan on publishing your realm, it's a lot of work, and I'll be real frank about that. So that's why I love the Inner Sea. and I like the use of it. Yes, there are things that they have to tweak and maybe do a little better with in some of the places, but overall, it is. If I were to rate this, I give it a 4.5 out of 5. I really think it's well done. And I think the writers under James Jacobs, which I know is now shifted otherwise, and Wes Schneider and his team have done tremendous work. And I know I'm not mentioning many of you guys, like Liz Quartz is in there, as is so many others, and so many of the program managers that work on this material. You guys are just sometimes very thanklessly not told the positives. You just hear the negatives. But for me, as a GM, thank you so much for the work you do, for the art, for the creativity, for the third-party writers that you use to help get the material out. Thank you to all of you guys. Eric Mona, great team there. Jason Bowman, great team. You guys have really, and let's go up to Lisa, because Lisa is really the driving force that started all of this back in the day with these guys. Thank you so much for what you do with the Inner Sea, because you really have made a world that is an interesting and fun world to play with so many possibilities, so little, restrictions, and it's just a great place to expand and explore. And you guys will be doing material for years on this. That's the great part, guys. So you can pick sections of this world and never complete adventuring all of it. That's the great part about it. And there's so much there, and there's so much rich history to it, and even undiscovered history, that you can really take this and make it a wonderful place. If you want to throw it into D&D, it is convertible. It really is to 5e, and it makes a fun place to run around. You just have to take all the stats and switch them over to the 5e stuff, and away you go. And it really is an interesting place. And I know so many have done it. If you look on Twitch TV, so many have taken it into 5e because of the richness of it. So thank you again. I hope you guys like this. I hope it's helpful in the 3 parts. There's a reason I did it this way, to kind of break it down a little more. But again, thank you to all the creative forces behind it. And this book in particular, to start out with, a couple of the ones that I really do want to thank are Wayne Reynolds, who did the cover art for it, James Jacob, of course, along with Keith Baker, Wolfgang Bauer out of Kobold Press, Clinton J. Boomer, Jason Bowman, who had some things in there, Josh Frost, Ed Greenwood, Stephen Greer, Jeff Nubge, Mike Cortez, Tito Liati, Mike McCarter, Rob McCreary, Eric, Jason, Eric Nelson, Jeff Quick, Sean Reynolds, Wes, of course, which is just greatness, Leandra Christian Schneider, who is, I believe, related to Wes, maybe. David Schwartz, Amber Scott, Owen K. Stevens, Todd Stewart, James Sutter, or Suter. I'm sorry, James. I mutilated your name. I'm so sorry. Greg Vaughn, Jeremy Walker, and J.D. Wicker. And there's so many in the cartography. There are so many in the editing and development that were there. Again, Crystal Frazier, I'm sorry I forgot you on this one. Crystal was a major part in this one, along with Lisa and so many others. Guys, they just have such a great team up there, and a team to draw from for this world, that it really has made it a great place. So keep up the great work and keep publishing the great material. My opinions, guys, get it, run it, be a part of the Inner Sea.